Hello, welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the On Sport podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of the midweek action and our predictions. And just like Luton's performance, our performance and predictions was absolutely shocking. Both of us did get a perfect score. That was both on Wednesday night. Mine was Stoke's 2-2 draw with Middlesbrough, and Daniel Cody's was Sheffield United's victory. However, Daniel Cody picks up an extra 2 more points with the Burnley draw and the Norwich win compared to my one with the Swansea draw. So Daniel Cody wins the match day by 5 points to 4. Well, let's hope we can improve for this weekend. And we're starting Friday night. It's Norwich City versus Millwall. Norwich beat Huddersfield by 2-1, and Millwall drew 2-2 with Swansea.
In the most bizarre circumstances I think we'll ever see, and I'm sure it will lead to your first rant of the season about a certain team later. But what a bizarre stoppage time that was. Millwall were down and out. It was comfortable. And two own goals later in the 93rd and 95th minute, they nick a point and continue what is now a pretty good start to the season in the playoff places. Norwich needed that win. They really needed that win against Huddersfield. And although they weren't great, considering they were rushed into a 2-goal lead, they had loads of chances first half. Then Huddersfield went down to 10 early in the second half, and you thought, right, go for it. Now, get the 4-0 win that I predicted. And they sort of ended up stumbling over the line. Obviously, Huddersfield got one back late on, and I'm still yet to be convinced by Norwich, despite the possession, despite the chances at home. They don't look like they've got that ruthless edge. So I actually think with Millwall being an incredibly solid side, the only game they lost, they made them silly mistakes. But they've let in 2 goals 3 games in a row, Millwall. Very unlike them. They're not going to this time. Championship's favourite scoreline to start, which I think I've done virtually every match day.
No, you haven't. Weirdly, in odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5. Yeah, good win for Norwich. Needed that win. Started out the traps very quickly. You thought when they want 2-0 up, and you think, oh god, here we go. This could be the game they actually need to actually kickstart their season. Millwall, on the other hand, absolutely poor for 93 minutes, and then they somehow got a point. So make that as you will. They absolutely buoyant by that. I don't care what. I don't care if you only have one shot. If you got a point, you take the point. I'm going to Norwich to win by 2-1. Right, Birmingham versus Wigan. Birmingham, they drew 1-1 with Watford, and Wigan didn't play because they're supposed to do commentary.
Yes, and although Wigan haven't won a game this season, they also haven't lost a league game. They've been very solid, and perhaps while lacking that cutting edge and that real goal scorer at championship level, they have been very, very good defensively. And Birmingham, you've got to say, for the large part, have been the same, which John Eustace maybe hasn't played to those principles we expected so much, but he's done what he needed to do to get results. And I've been really impressed with him. So another good point against Watford. I know it could have been more. Unfortunately, in the second half, they were pegged back. So it leaves me with a very difficult position, this, because everything is telling me it's going to be the Championship's favourite scoreline again, but I don't want to keep going for hundreds of them. So because they've both not been great in front of goal and they've both got good defences, I'm going to go for a goalless scoreline at 0-0.
It's the most 0-0 game you could probably pick for you. I'm going to go 2-0 Wigan. Yeah, not bad stuff from both from Wigan point of view. Obviously, they didn't play in midweek, so they've had a week off. Birmingham worked hard. I don't know if they'll be a bit tight because they worked really hard against Watford, and Watford obviously had all the possession. It's a good point at home. But I'm going to go Wigan to nick it by 2 goals just because of their freshness. Right, Burnley versus Blackpool, Lancashire derby, right up there. Burnley drew 1-1 with Hull, and Blackpool beat QPR by 1-0.
Yeah, becoming a little bit of a habit for Burnley, though, isn't it now? Having all of the possession, having more of the chances, and again, lacking that ruthless edge. Those top-class strikers in the Championship, very hard to come by this early in the season. Whereas Blackpool were the complete reverse of it. They had hardly any of the ball at QPR, scored one brilliant goal. Josh Bowler back in form. We've been waiting a little while for that. Will he be coming to form before the end of the August window? Will that be a problem for Blackpool in the next couple of weeks? I hope not for their sake. It's a tough game to predict, and you know my rule last season, Craig, and the reason I split it up last match is because Blackpool had a habit of drawing 1-1 away from home in the big games last year. They have struggled for goals this season, and although they had a moment of inspiration, I don't think they're going to get it against Burnley. So even though really I wanted to go for 3-1-1 draws to start with, I'm going to go for 1-0 to Burnley because I just think they've got a better chance of taking one of their opportunities.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Burnley as well. I think it's about time they get a home win. I haven't been disappointed with Burnley, to be fair. I know they picked up draws and a defeat against Watford, but they've been fine. I know they beat Huddersfield on the first day, but I think they've been fine. They've got no problems with them. They just need to just obviously take more of the chances. So I think that this will be the game. So 2-0 to Burnley. Right, commentary for Huddersfield is off again. Another game for commentary. That's why they're currently bottom and not Luton. Thanks, Coventry. Thank you, Wasps. Right, moving on. Preston versus Watford. Preston once again drew 0-0, and Watford drew 1-0 with Birmingham.
Well, I was going to take umbrage to your comment of this is the most 0-0 game a few fixtures ago, because surely any game Preston are involved in is the most likely to be a 0-0. They had one moment of absolute inspiration against Luton, and other than that, it has been 0-0s galore. Very improved defensively under Ryan Lowe, but God, they're missing Cameron Archer. And although Troy Parrott worked really hard in the last couple of games, they haven't got that cutting edge. Watford haven't been that good in front of goal either. I know they've been really solid at the back and managed to nick 8 points out of it, but there were some signs in the early stages against Birmingham that there was a threat against them. And obviously they've lost Dennis. I know they got Davis in, but there's a lot of talk about Ismail Assar now. You said it a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be so crucial to their season what happens with those boys by the end of the month. João Pedro getting a bit of talk as well.
They'll probably blink Man United as well, like everyone else.
There's Craig's Premier League hat going on for a moment, but look, I can't see past a draw for this game, and I can't make a case to make a different scoreline. It's whether I go 0-0 or 1-0, and I'm going to go for. If I go 0-0, I'm going to be out of 2 games very quickly. 0-0.
I'm going to go 1-0 to Watford. Yeah, Watford haven't had. Have Watford scored more than one yet?
Nope.
Have they? No. And it's probably the same. Yeah, I don't know why. Considering that front three they had or have, only scored 1 goal in a game is baffling, really. Because they seem to create all the chances and that all the possession, but lack of killer instinct. And I think a few teams at the moment are lacking that killer instinct in front of goal. It's not like we haven't seen one team completely back. Well, I think we've only seen 1 4-0 game so far. So maybe it's just try and get them all up to speed, shorter pre-season to what they probably would have had. But Watford seem to have that problem as well. Preston as well definitely have that problem. I know Preston's goal was probably the goal of the season, and it's better than the Watford one. I'm still sticking by that.
There he goes again.
It's better than SARS. Don't hate me. But I think Watford win this game by a 1-0. Right, next up, QPR versus Rotherham. QPR lost 1-0 to Blackpool, and Rotherham drew 0-0 with Preston.
Yeah, let's get Rotherham out the way because they've been really gutsy defensively in recent matches. And look, Preston dominated the game. They should have won it. And if they'd had a ruthless striker or still had Cameron Archer on loan, I'm convinced they would have. But Rotherham hang in there. They get themselves a 0-0, and it's another point on the board. It's been a really good start to the season. 3 unbeaten, 5 points. They'd have loved that at the start. And they're all sides they've played so far that last year were in the bottom half. So they're results they've got to get if they want to stay up, and fair play to them, they have. You mentioned last week, I think it was the last prediction show, that you're a bit worried about QPR this season, and there were more alarm bells relating to that in midweek. They weren't great against Blackpool. They had a few chances, but didn't create too many clear openings, and they do look a bit vulnerable at the back, yet to keep a clean sheet as well this season, including a cup. So I do fancy Rotherham to get a goal, even though they're on the road and they don't do it very often. QPR have to win. I'm going 2-1 QPR, but I'm not entirely confident in that.
No, I've been really impressed with Rotherham. Where a downfall was a couple of seasons ago was their lack of clean sheets, and they've already picked up last 2 games they picked up clean sheets. So defensively, they're getting the better. I mean, Paul Warne's definitely learned his lesson from a couple of seasons ago, and it's a good point away from home. It really is. QPR wasn't particularly impressed again. I'll be honest, lacking that killer instinct as well in front of goal. I think I'm going to say it for a few teams in this league, they're lacking that killer instinct in front of goal. But I'm going to go for my first Championship's favourite scoreline. Right, Reading versus Middlesbrough. Reading surprised everyone by beating Blackburn by 3-0, and Middlesbrough drew 2-2 with Stoke.
Oh, yeah. I didn't expect to be saying at the start of the week 2 of the sides that definitely aren't lacking killer instinct, and including Reading in that. They were very good at home to Blackburn. And I know that Blackburn didn't help themselves at times, but that's back-to-back home wins. Paul Ince, he's got to do well in the home games to keep them up. And some of those experienced attacking players really stepped up when it mattered there. So really positive result for them. And we put the poll out earlier in the week, and almost everyone went for a Blackburn win and all got proven wrong. Whereas Stoke v Middlesbrough was just, well, it was almost a classic in the end, wasn't it? Plenty of chances. Borough had most of the ball. They did have more of the shots, but again, weren't hitting the target often enough. And it's been a really disappointing start to the season for them when you consider that they probably would have liked to pick up points against the likes of QPR and Stoke on the road to only get one from those two. Little disappointing. The Reading results throw me though. I would have gone Borough win last week. I'm going to go Championship's favourite scoreline. I've just got a feeling that Reading will pick something up because Borough haven't got going yet.
No, Borough haven't got going, and I'm surprised by how easy they've conceded the goals. I'm surprised how away form hasn't been great. Reading's home form has actually been 2 wins in a row now at home. So this all points to a Reading win, really. But I've gone for Middlesbrough by 2-1. Yeah, Middlesbrough really need to get going. They're favourites for a reason before the season starts, and they haven't got going. So they really need to get their backsides going. So I'm going to go for them to win by 2-1. Right, Sheffield United versus Blackburn. Sheffield United beat Sunderland by 2-1, and Blackburn, as we said against Reading, they got thrashed 3-0.
Yeah, really weird off night for them. And it's the first time this season where we can say it was one of those that proved the Championship's unpredictable, didn't it? But Sheffield United, very similar to Norwich, actually. They raced into a 2-goal lead after a Sunderland red card, but then just dropped off a little bit. I know Lyndon Gooch scored a worldie. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it was, again, a bit more of a stumble over the line. And for the amount of chances they created, I think they had 22 shots in the end to only score 2. They've not really come to life yet. And maybe it is just a shorter pre-season. We're seeing a lot of lower scoring games, a lot of disjointed performances. It's going to take a bit of time, I think. And then we're going to have it all again in December when everyone's back from the World Cup. But for me, it would have been a hard game to predict if Blackburn had got another win. As it is, Sheffield United, 2 in a row at home, scored 2 both times. I'm going for a 2-0 win. I think we're going to see the typical inconsistent Blackburn for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, I'm going to Sheffield United to win by 3-1. Very poor night for Blackburn. Now it's all starting to unravel already. Ben Brereton Diaz linked with Nice, with Everton, with Bournemouth. So, and they're not, Blackburn are not going to hold out and make him stay, really, because he's only got a year left in his contract and his money's there. The money's there. So I can see that being the downturn for Blackburn. They haven't got really anyone to replace him with goals yet. I know there's still a couple of weeks left of the transfer window, but I don't trust Sam Gallagher and Bradley Dack at the moment to get the goals as high as what Brereton Diaz got last season. So that's a big worry for Blackburn. Sheffield United back to what they do. Very good win against Sunderland. But yeah, 3-1 win for the Blades. Right, Stoke v Sunderland. As we said, Stoke drew 2-2 with Middlesbrough. Thank you, Right Phillips. Give me that 3 points. Didn't realise until I just checked. And Sunderland lost 2-1 to Sheffield United.
Yeah, and to be fair, Sunderland started okay and looked pretty comfortable until the red card. It was a moment of madness. They then scored a brilliant goal in the second half with Lyndon Gooch. Thinks it over the keeper from 25 yards. It was a lovely goal. But there's a lot of games where we're saying at the moment, Sunderland have played well and not got the 3 points. 2 draws at home, a defeat in that one as well. It's individual moments and errors that you can't make at this higher level. Stoke, good at home. I know Middlesbrough a good side. It'll be a good point in the end with the equaliser late on. But I don't know if I'm convinced they're going to win this game. And as a result, Stoke so rarely lose at home. 1-1. Championship's favourite scoreline again. If I go for enough of them, I'll get one right.
I'm running out of 1-1 chances, to be fair. I'm going to go for another entertaining game. I'm going to go 2-2 in this game. I think Sunderland, the Bat still need to learn. Obviously, they haven't kept a clean. I don't think they kept a clean sheet yet, Sunderland. I don't think they have. No. So they're still learning in that sort of way. Stoke, that's how I think about Stoke. There hasn't been anything good yet. It's been slow. So I think 2-2 will be that. Right, Swansea versus Luton. Swansea were 2-0 up for 93 minutes and then blew it. And Luton are currently, technically, forgetting commentary, bottom of the Championship. They lost 2-0 to Bristol City.
And they were awful. Really awful.
I'll get onto them in a minute.
It was a terrible performance. Nathan Jones basically said it was an unacceptable level. I wouldn't be surprised this week to see a lineup mainly consisting of the tried and trusted. I've got a feeling he's going to go back to what we would expect. Unfortunately, I can't go because there's train strikes everywhere, but there we go. Swansea, as you say, really comfortable, really composed, really good performance for 92 minutes. And then they did the thing that you moaned about 20 times last season. Such unnecessary pressure on themselves. Of course, the 2 own goals is a fluke you'll probably not see again this season in any championship game, but they put themselves in a position and under pressure. All you've got to do is keep possession, get up the other end of the pitch. You have to leave your principles for a couple of minutes. And do you know what the sad thing was when they let in the first one with a couple of minutes of stoppage time left? You knew Millwall would get a chance. You knew it was coming. And that probably explains why Swansea haven't competed for the playoffs under Russell Martin last year and why they probably won't this year, in my opinion. So I have no idea what to go for the game because Swansea will be on an ultimate low after that. Luton have just been atrocious in the last game and haven't looked like scoring really all season. Even the one they scored was a bobble around. I don't know. Swansea won't keep a clean sheet, even though we can't score. But I think they'll win. I'm going to go 2-1 Swansea.
Well, that gives me the opportunity to finally get a Championship's favourite scoreline in for a while. I'm going to go 1-1. Right, where do I start? I'll start with Swansea. Oh, how many times? Game management, boys. Game effing management. I just cannot believe. That actually cheered me up. I'm not going to lie, because that was a horrible night of football to watch. Because I was watching Luton, Bristol City. Absolutely horrible. And then wake up at early hours in the morning and see Swansea blew a 2-0 lead, thinking that Swansea already won the game 2-0, made me laugh.
Sure, the Swansea fans would be delighted to hear that.
Well, to be honest,
they must know what it's like now.
Yeah, how many times? I have not seen any vlogs. I haven't seen. I'm amazed and say, oh yeah, well, great. I'd be so annoyed that they once again threw away 2 points. They threw away in the palm of their hand and completely caved in again. Luton, on the other hand, that was horrendously bad. They had no bollocks whatsoever. I haven't seen West Luton performance for such a long time. Forget the 7-0. That was just Fulham being unreal. That was horrendously bad for Luton. And to do it against Bristol City, we made Bristol City look like Fulham from last season. And Bristol City ain't that great. They just done their jobs. Luton looked so out of it. What Luton's so good at, putting teams under pressure high up. We were nowhere near Bristol City, and Bristol City ain't that quick. We were nowhere near. Bristol City did what we normally do. We made Cal Naismith look like he was like Van Dijk. He ain't Van Dijk, for God's sake. So, and we watched him a lot last season and a half. He's a good player, but he's not that bloody good. Jesus Christ, he had a cigar out. So Adebayo needs to get his arse into gear, really. So 1-1 Luton, Swansea after all that. It'd probably be 0-0 knowing all that, but it'd be 1-1. My choice. Right, West Brom versus Hull. West Brom drew 0-0 with Cardiff, and Hull drew 1-0 with Burnley.
Yeah, another pretty gutsy performance on the road from Hull. They've been another side that have really impressed me at the start of the season, currently in the automatic promotion places. I'm not sure even in their wildest dreams that'll last, but
there's no point looking at the table now. Really,
with 4 games in, you've got to have a look. But
no.
They've been really solid on the road. They've played a bit more cautiously and made sure they've picked up points. And then at home, they've got themselves the wins. I've been really impressed with them. West Brom, you feel like they're one performance away from turning on the style. I know that Steve Bruce was very disparaging of his team's performance against Hull. They were probably, against Cardiff. They were probably the worst they've been all season. They started well and then faded badly. But otherwise, they've been really good this season without getting the points to reward them. Coming into a spell now of games that are a little bit easier on paper or are more winnable on paper. If they can pick up an early goal, they will beat someone heavily. But I don't think Hull are going to be that side. I'm going to go for West Brom to nick it, but I'm only going to go for 1-0. And by the way, Osan Tufan for Hull. What a start to the season. He's looked absolutely class, proving his international quality.
I'm going to go 2-1 Hull.
Wow.
Yeah, Hull. I've actually been really impressed with Hull since the start of the season. It's probably the team I've actually been impressed the most so far this season. God, West Brom were boring. They are boring me at the moment, West Brom. It's maybe it's Steve Bruce. I don't know. It could be wrong because I think West Brom fans are starting to get a little bit restless. They haven't really picked up the victories yet. Have they picked up a victory yet? I don't think they have. Nope. So it's feels like a continuation from last season. They can't seem to get by goals as well. Another team that should be scoring lots of goals, aren't really scoring lots of goals. And I think Hull will nick it. I really do. So I'm going to go them 2-1 victory. And the final game is the 7-side derby. It is Bristol City versus Cardiff. Bristol City, they beat Luton 2-0, and Cardiff drew 0-0 West Brom.
Yeah, another really solid game for Cardiff. I've got to be honest, I wouldn't like to have a season ticket there at home, and I wouldn't like to be following them away because their games have been, let's call them industrious rather than high quality football. But let's be fair, they didn't manage games well last year. Steve Morrison said he's got to gut the squad out and make them more solid, and he's delivered on that. And they're going to have a better season as a result. And if they can then add that bit of quality and those goals later in the season, who knows? If you're in the mix, you can get into that playoff contention. We saw it last season with the likes of Luton, Huddersfield, Millwall, etc. Bristol City will never have an easier night's work than that. I mean, for us to allow, after all we've said for the last year and a half, to allow Bristol City to keep a clean sheet that easily is astonishing. Even when they went down to 10 men, I don't think we had a shot on target after that. We didn't, they looked so comfortable. It was terrible to watch, but we're talking from a Luton point of view. For Bristol City, very good, but then overshadowed bizarrely by a 15-minute Nigel Pearson rant afterwards, which was quite hilarious from a neutral point of view. But then in the last couple of days, a lot of stats have been coming out since, which might actually make him look like he's got a point, which is interesting. But Bristol City, for me, will take confidence from that. Cardiff will try and turn it into a battle. I honestly think this game's decided by who goes down to 10 men first, because I believe there'll be a red card at some point. And as a result, I'm going to finish with it as well. Championship's favourite scoreline.
Bloody word.
1-1.
I'm going to go Cardiff to win it by 2-1. Cardiff, to be fair, I think 3 clean sheets out of 4.
Yep.
Very solid. So no problems there. All right, not scoring much, but 3 clean sheets out of 4. I'm got no problem with that. Bristol City, on the other hand, it was Luton made Bristol City look like Fulham in a way. It was easy for them. They didn't really need to get out of second gear. They'll be delighted with the clean sheet. The 2 goals were pretty easy to score, in my opinion. The criticism I would have was the red card. It was stupid. I'm surprised Nigel Pearson not talking about the red card, because that was disgusting. Okay, even if it was Luton against Luton player, or if Luton player did that, or any other game, that is a horrendous tackle. You cannot do that in today's game.
It was needless.
It was pointless. So comfortable. Why do it? But he's overshadowing the red card, really, because we're talking about penalties, that rubbish. You won the game. You comfortably won the game. Take the 3 points. Congratulations, well done to you. Now you're going to play penalties and referees and walk. If you've got a problem with that, Nigel Pearson, walk away now. But yeah, they're going to lose 2-1. So there you go. Let's have a quick recap what we predicted for match day 5, and lots of 1-1 scores for Daniel Cody. He has no confidence in any team picking up any points, and a 0-0 there as well. 2 0-0s there. So he's a lot of draws for him this weekend. So his Super 6, if any of these teams were, it's not looking good at the moment. For me, only Sheffield United, I think, was going to score more than 2 goals. So once again, it's a very tight, compact championship season. And those are predictions for match day 5 in the championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give us your predictions. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Football Podcast. You can be a member of this channel by clicking the join button down below. And also, we're on Twitter. You can follow us at Honest Football Free. We'll see you next time.